This is the first in a video series designed to introduce you to Demand Control Schema, or DCS. In this video, I introduce you to the theoretical construct, which in part is designed to help interpreters effectively define the context of interpreting. Interpreters who work in community settings, both sign language and spoken language interpreters, work in a variety of settings. These varying contexts impact interpreting work in two distinct ways. They frame for us what is going on, and they influence our behaviors. Most interpreters, when talking about work with colleagues, engage in a series of back and forth questions of, "What would you do if?" and a series of, "Well, that depends," replies. Of course, it does depend. Any profession who makes decisions based on contextual factors would agree. To identify the contextual factors of community interpreting is to provide answers to some of the most basic questions. Questions of where, who, when, why, what, and how. Having a schema or a mental model that organizes your thoughts helps you think in efficient and constructive ways. This video series is designed to offer an introduction to demand control schema and will highlight opportunities to learn more, especially in how to apply this information to your work as an interpreter. Having a way to talk about these factors in a systematic way is what theory making is all about. All professions have theories of explanation, theories of prediction, and theories of action. The "that depends" or "it depends" pattern of discussions do not represent an effective example of theory making. Demand Control Schema, created by me, Robin Dean, and Bob Pollard, provides the community interpreting field with practical theories of explanation, prediction, and action. In order to explain what interpreters do, we have often relied on metaphors. Interpreters have been likened to many things, mostly inanimate objects, like a phone line. Working as an interpreter in community settings is complex work. Unfortunately, some of the schemas or metaphors that have been used regularly do not capture the complexity of that work. Consider how we refer to ourselves as phone lines or invisible or conduits and bridges. Many of these simplistic metaphors were understandably created as a quick way to explain to service users, the people that we interpret for, what it is that we do. Even the phrase facilitating communication, while popular, does not adequately convey the complexity of our work. The metaphors that we use tend to convey a sole focus on the chosen words of the speaker. These simplistic metaphors fail to capture and explain aspects of interpreting work that come from the service users or clients' emotion, their body language, their affective qualities, the intentions behind their words, and their expectations and communication aims. Claude Nami, instead, encouraged interpreters to consider an individual's thought world. While the metaphors that we regularly use fail to capture these complexities, certainly the development of interpreting and translation theories did evolve to encompass the importance of culture, ethnicity, and the positions or roles held by individuals. And, broader still, interpreting and translation came to recognize the importance of the setting and the situations where the communication takes place. In other words, interpreters must be experts at analyzing communication, taking into account all of these important elements that make up the communication events. While you as an interpreter might easily recognize how all of these elements impact our work, most people that we interpret for do not. And we've not helped matters by referring to and talking about our work through metaphors such as conduit and bridge, but even terms like team member or advocate tend to confuse instead of help. Our schema is meant to help you recognize all of those elements so that you can make effective and fitting decisions about your translations or interpretations, your interactions with individuals who use our services, and also how to handle ethical concerns and reason through your decision-making. These elements that make up communication become, for interpreters whose job it is to facilitate communication, demands of the job. Calling something a demand of your job means that it is a salient aspect of your work. It is a factor that rises to a level of significance that will, or should, impact your work. We have proposed that interpreting demands fall into 4 categories, from the broadest to the most specific: environmental demands, interpersonal demands, paralinguistic demands, and intrapersonal demands. Like pieces of a puzzle, factors in the interpreting context that come from these 4 categories merge together to create the complete picture of each job, from a parent-teacher meeting to a courtroom. Whether you are interpreting in a parent-teacher meeting or in a courtroom, there will be environmental demands. Environmental demands are those demands specific to the setting, which include the goal of the setting, personnel or clientele present, the unique terminology or vocabulary dictated by that setting, and the physical surroundings. There will also be interpersonal demands. Interpersonal demands are those job demands that are specific to the interactions that occur between the service users and the interpreter as well, and include things such as cultural factors, communication goals of the encounter, and the moods and the emotional tone of the individuals. In a parent-teacher meeting or in a courtroom, there will also be paralinguistic demands. Paralinguistic demands are those which are specific to the quality of the expressive skills of the service users. This includes things such as pace, volume, accents, visual or auditory impediments to your ability to perceive the content. And lastly, all jobs, regardless of location, and service users will have intrapersonal demands. Intrapersonal demands are those which are specific to the internal experiences of the interpreter, our thoughts, feelings, and our physical states. In the videos that follow, we will further explore each of these 4 demand categories, which we collectively refer to with the acronym EIPI. EIPI functions as a theory of explanation, which is a holistic way to talk about the community interpreting context. These videos provide you with a basic understanding of the demand control schema. For greater detail and for more in-depth application, you can purchase our textbook in both paperback and ebook, or you can take online courses. To download a brochure and to learn more about online courses, please visit these websites.